everyone, welcome back to my channel. Get ready, buckle up. We're gonna be doing a tier ranking of the 100 books I read in 2023. Let's just hop on into it. All right, I've got 5 tiers that I'm gonna put these 100 books in. I put them in order. The first book I read in January and the last book I just finished this morning, actually. Let's just get to it, shall we? The top tier, I can't stop thinking about it. These are my 6-star reads, best books I've ever read. Absolutely loved them. Can't stop thinking about it. The next category is top contenders. These are really good books, 4-star, 4.5 stars. They're top contenders, but they're not my all-time favorite. Then we have mid, average, liked it, I'd recommend it, but it doesn't stick out in my mind. I have tolerable, which is like a 2 or 2.5 stars, or even like a 3 stars that I didn't super enjoy, but I could still tolerate it and I would recommend it to certain people. And then the last one is I want to wipe it from my memory. It was terrible. Let's start with the last thing he told me. I read this so long ago that it's hard to think about. We read it for book club. Looking back, I still remember a good amount of the plot, so I definitely think it was a good book. I'm gonna put it in mid. I watched a couple episodes of the TV show and I actually really enjoyed the TV show. I thought it was very accurate to the book. It is a mystery book. King's Cage. This is part of the Red Queen series. I'd started the Red Queen series in 2022 and this book was so hard for me to get into. It became so political and it dragged on and on, so I just stopped the series at King's Cage. So I'd put it at tolerable because I was still a little invested in the characters, but I stopped the whole series because of this book because it was really frustrating to me. People We Meet on Vacation. This is the first Emily Henry book I ever read. This is my least favorite Emily Henry book. I would put it in mid. Her writing is very poetic and beautiful, but this story was just not my favorite. The main premise of it is that they're best friends that go on vacation together. They have this chemistry and love there for each other, and so they're exploring that, and it was just basic to me. I don't know. I really was just in a reading slump in January and February, and then I read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and it brought me back to life. I finally zoomed into reading, and that's really what started my reading journey this year. I would definitely put A Good Girl's Guide to Murder in top contenders. It is one of my favorite mystery books. It's a young adult murder mystery series. It's so quick to get into. And then I read the second and third book as well. I really enjoyed the second book. I would put As Good as Dead in mid though. It was a little darker, better than the movies. I'm so happy that I read this. This is a young adult romance book. It is just a rom-com encapsulated in pages. Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Sweeney. I'd heard so much good about this thriller, and then I finished it thinking in my mind, what is going on? I want to wipe it from my memory. I thought it was terrible. I thought the plot twist was out of nowhere. I didn't understand it at all. I did not like it. Then we were on a roll with bad books. Accidentally Engaged. I want to wipe it from my memory. It was disgusting. She's Gone. I actually really enjoyed this book. I don't think about it often, so I'm gonna put it in mid, but I would recommend it. It is a young adult mystery book. Love and Gelato. I read this on spring break outside next to the pool, so I think it was just the time that I read this book that I ate it up. I don't think about it as often anymore. I think it's gonna go in top contender. This is about a girl who has to move to Italy to figure out some family stuff. While she's there, she falls in love, she explores the city. I love the atmosphere. Okay, We Were Liars. I'm deciding between tolerable and I want to wipe it from my memory. I think I just want to wipe it from my memory. I don't even know what I rated it, but looking back, it was not good. The plot twist was terrible. It makes you think, why did I read this whole book? I feel like this was for nothing. Love in Other Words. I can understand why people love it. I would say it's tolerable, but I could recommend it to some people who are looking for a second chance romance book. Okay, If He Had Been With Me. I do think about this book often because it's so sad, but it's not something I want to continue thinking about. I'm gonna put it in mid. It's not a top contender because it's so frustrating. It's so sad. The Housemaid. I will say The Housemaid really got me into thrillers. So I might put it in a top contender. Ooh, I don't know. I think I'm gonna leave it in top contender because it was a very popular book this year. It really got me into reading mysteries. It's about a girl who's a housemaid for this family. A lot of eerie, creepy things are going on. She also has a backstory, so there's a lot going on in the plot. To All the Boys I've Loved Before, I read all 3 of the books in this series. Love the movie series. I think the movie series is 5 out of 5. I think this is a cute book, but I think I'm a little too old for the age range that it's going for it, but it is really easy to get into. I'm gonna put all of them in mid. One of Us is Lying. This is another really good young adult murder mystery book. I don't think about it that often, but I know I want to read more by this author. 5 students are in detention. 1 doesn't make it out alive. Who did it? Okay, Caraval. I would say it's tolerable. It is a fantasy book that's very whimsical, but it was really hard for me to follow. Divergent. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna put the first Divergent book in top contenders, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and skip because I didn't read them back to back. But the second book is definitely gonna be in top contenders. The third book has to be and Can't Stop Thinking About It. And then the little novella I would put in mid. I mean, because it was really good, but you don't really need it. The Divergent series is a young adult dystopian series. There's a lot of scheming going on behind the scenes that you learn about throughout the whole series. There's really good romance. I really liked the first movie. Didn't love the second and third movie, but really liked the first movie. And the third book just rips your heart out. Okay, then I read the Summer I Turned Pretty series. I did not enjoy the book series at all. I would put it intolerable. The Hotel Nantucket by Ellen Hilderbrand. This one was just a general fiction book about a woman opening a hotel and about all the different characters staying in the hotel or working at the hotel. There really wasn't that much happening to me, so I put it intolerable. I enjoyed it while I read it, but it's not something I ever think about. Summer of Broken Rules. I don't know what crack is in these pages. When I read this, I read it on my birthday. I fell in love with the story. I loved the setting. I loved the characters. I need to reread it again because I've heard mixed reviews about it. I literally cannot stop thinking about the characters. I can't. Once Upon a Broken Heart. This series blew up this year. This is a fantasy series by the same author of Caraval. It is very whimsical, very fantasy. It was hard for me to follow, so I'm gonna put it in mid. But a lot of people enjoyed the series, so I'd recommend it if you want a really whimsical fantasy series. Then She Was Gone. I actually did a reading vlog on Then She Was Gone. It's so sad, so I'm gonna put it intolerable. Enjoyed it while I was reading it, but it's really dark. It left me feeling in a really dark, deep place, and I'm not the only one. I heard Haley Pham felt the same way. It just makes you feel really dark afterwards. So I'm gonna put it intolerable. It wasn't bad. The writing was good. But I want to read another Lisa Jewell book to redeem her in my mind. How to Love Your Neighbor. I think I rated it 2 stars. It wasn't bad. I'm not gonna wipe it from my memory, but it was tolerable. It was nothing special. It is just a romance between 2 neighbors. It's Grumpy Sunshine. Okay, The Maidens. Oh my goodness. This book is so good. I'm gonna have to put it in top contenders. The ending, if it was a little longer or a little bit different, I would have made it a 5-star book. This is by the same author of The Silent Patient, which I think I read in 2022. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. It's dark academia, mystery at a college, the cheat sheet. I'm also gonna put this in top contender. This is my first Sarah Adams book that I read. I fell in love with her writing. Fast-paced, really sweet romances. It's a sports romance. It's a friends to lovers, fake dating. Absolutely loved it. All the Bright Places. I hate to say it, but I'm gonna put it intolerable. I felt like I was in a fever dream reading this book. I felt like the plot was very sporadic. It was very much pushing a social narrative that needs to be pushed out about mental health. So I deeply appreciated that the author was pushing this narrative because it's important for all of us to take care of our mental health. It was just really sad and really chaotic. A Walk to Remember. I'm not gonna put it and I wanna wipe it from my memory. I'm gonna put it intolerable. I love the movie. It's a really sweet romance. I did not like the book though. I don't like Nicholas Sparks' writing, at least in this book. I felt that it was very disrespectful to certain types of people. I felt like he judged people a lot in the book. Okay, next we have The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. This is like a Groundhog's Day kind of deal. It's a young adult romance book. The main girl is reliving Valentine's Day over and over again. Oh, I hate to do this to it though. I'm gonna put it in tolerable. I hate that it's such a different ranking than Better Than the Movies. I didn't like the Groundhog's Day thing, reliving it over and over again, and there really wasn't an explanation to why. The Perfect Marriage. I'm gonna put this in top contenders. This mystery book was so good. Yes, there's language and there's a little bit of spice, but the premise of this book is really interesting. The wife is the lawyer on her husband's case. Her husband is a suspect in the murder of his mistress. How wild is all of that? Things we never got over. I want to wipe it from my memory. I felt like it was very lust-based, very attraction-based, very physical. The Off Limits Rule, I'm gonna put it in mid. It's not a top contender, but it is a Sarah Adams book that I love. This is a brother's best friend trope, and I loved it. I ate it up. Housemaid's Secret, I'm gonna put that in tolerable, actually. I did not really enjoy the sequel to The Housemaid. I felt like it was the same story, just in a different font. Ghosted. I have mixed feelings on this. I think the story was actually good, but there was a lot of spice and a lot of vulgar language, so I'm gonna put it in tolerable. I liked the one of us is a celebrity trope. It's a romance, single parent. I liked that part, but a lot of it was very inappropriate. The Bodyguard, I'm gonna put that in Can't Stop Thinking About It. Such a strong female character who is the bodyguard for this big celebrity guy. He's a cowboy too at heart though, so they go back to his family ranch and she has to pretend to be his girlfriend, so it's fake dating. I love fake dating, to protect him from a stalker. Love the mystery aspect, love that action-packed part to it, but I also love the romance. I love his family, very sweet. Cinder, oh my goodness, okay. I read the full Cinder series. Well, it's called the Lunar Chronicles series. Fantasy series, it's so good. I'm gonna put Cinder, Scarlet, the second book, and Cress, the third book, all in top contenders. And then I'm gonna put the fourth book, Winter, and can't stop thinking about it because it's the culmination of the story. All the characters are in winter. I love it. Float. Okay, I'm gonna put it in mid. This is just a cutesy young adult summery romance. Sometimes I lie. I wanna wipe it from my memory. Another Alice Feeney book. I wanted to give her another try. I absolutely despise this. This is about a girl in a coma. That's all I can tell you, really, because I didn't understand anything that was going on. The Temporary Roomie. I need to reread it. I think I'm gonna put it in mid right now. They're so cute. Definitely not something I think about often, but I loved the book. Heartbones. I actually want to wipe it from my memory. This is the second Colleen Hoover book I ever read. I think I read the first one a while ago. I wanted to give her another chance, and I didn't like it. I don't like her writing. It gave me the ick. Shadow and Bone. I actually rated it 4 stars, but because I read the second book, I think it brings it down 1. So Shadow and Bone is mid. I'll just go ahead and do the second one. Later, I read Siege and Storm, which was so boring, but I'm going to put it in tolerable because I have high hopes for the third book. Flawless. This is the first book in the Chestnut Spring series. I was trying to give it a shot. It's too spicy and just too vulgar for me. Want to wipe that from my memory. Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute. I kind of also want to wipe this from my memory. I read this book in my reading highest and lowest rated books on Goodreads video, and I agree that this was the lowest rated. It's a young adult romance book. It felt icky. I don't know. Now wait for it. I don't talk about this book enough. I'm going to put this in top contenders. This is my first Mariana Zapata book I've ever read. It's a slow burn romance beach read. Okay, this might be a hot take. I'm going to put it in mid. I enjoyed this book. I didn't think it was my favorite Emily Henry book. I felt like the romance could have been a little better, but oh well. When in Rome. Can't stop thinking about it. I love this Sarah Adams book. The guy's a pie shop owner. The girl's a celebrity trying to escape celebrity life for a little bit. They find each other in this small town. Okay, The Fine Print. This is the first book in the Dreamland Billionaire series. I enjoyed this one. I'm gonna put it in mid. I don't think this is extremely memorable. I liked the series as a whole. This first one is just not my favorite. Liked the Dreamland part. It was like Disney World. Practice Makes Perfect. I got the ick from this one, so I'm gonna put it in mid. I, at the time, really enjoyed it, but when I think about it, it's not as good as When in Rome. It reminded me of Grease, and I don't like Grease. What Happens After Midnight. This is the same author as A Summer of Broken Rules. This one did not hit. I did not understand the plot. I'm gonna put it in tolerable. It's like kids at a boarding school that have this senior prank that they plan, and there's also this weird romance going on. Divine Rivals. If there was a top tier, I think this is my favorite book of the year. This is a romance fantasy book. The romance is so good. Yes, it is fantasy, but it's more like historical fantasy. It's very slow paced. I think the second book's gonna really kick into gear though because of the huge cliffhanger at the end of the first book. Happy Place. I know I rated it 5 stars, but it's not something I can't stop thinking about. I loved Happy Place. I love the friendships. I loved the atmosphere. I enjoyed the romance. It wasn't my favorite part, but I love the friendships. So it's gonna be a top contender. But I have another Emily Henry book that I can't stop thinking about that I'll talk about later. Finlay Donovan is killing it. I rated this 5 stars as well. It's not something I can't stop thinking about though, but it is a top contender. I've never read like a comedy book, but this one was hilarious. It's a mystery book. This woman inadvertently accepts this job to be a contract killer because someone mistakes her talking about her book for her actual life. Never Lie. I'm gonna put this in mid. This is a good Frida McFadden mystery book. Marriage for One, I'm also gonna put in mid. There were some scenes that you definitely have to skip in this book if you want it to be closed door. But I never read A Marriage of Convenience trope. They get married for business purposes. Then of course they start to catch feelings. He's such a helpful person. If you like acts of service or anything like that, definitely read this book. The Naturals. Okay, I'm gonna put it in mid. It was hard for me to get into. It's a young adult mystery book. I heard it's similar to Criminal Minds, but teenagers. It's this group of gifted teenagers that come together and work on cases for the FBI. I just finished Killer Instinct though, which is the second book. I'm gonna put it in a top contender. I am now falling in love with these characters and wanting to read the third and fourth book. Ward D. This is another Frida McFadden book. I'm gonna put it in mid. They're stuck in a hospital ward overnight and some weird things were going on. Kept me on the edge of my seat. A good, solid mystery book. Book lovers. Okay, this is the Emily Henry book I cannot stop thinking about. Two sisters go to this small town, have a sister trip, and lo and behold, one of her kind of rivals or someone she knows in the book industry is there. Of course, they catch feelings. It's just like a slow-paced book, but the writing is beautiful. If you picture it in the fall time, which is when I read it, it's perfect for the fall. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I can't put this too low because I would get hate over that. I'm gonna put it in mid. It was a solid book. I do think I'm a little too old for the first book, but I know that you kind of grow up with the books. 5 Survive, I'm also gonna put in mid. This is a really short young adult mystery book. It happens over the span of 24 hours. They're stuck in an RV and there's a shooter outside. Pumpkin Spice and Not So Nice. I'm gonna put it in tolerable. It's not something that stood out to me. It was kind of really instantaneous love, but it was a cute fall read. The House Across the Lake, I want to wipe it from my memory. I can't believe I'm saying that. I thought I would really enjoy this book, but I did not understand the hype. It felt so drug out. It felt so weird for like 75% of the book. Was just nothing happening. And then the very end got supernatural and eerie. I want a plot twist to make sense, but it did not make sense. Next is Hello Stranger by Catherine Center. I can't stop thinking about this book. Such a good general fiction with a good mix of romance in it. The main girl is dealing with face blindness, but her whole job is being a portrait artist. So she's finding out who she is again while dealing with romance and just all this stuff. Just Don't Fall. This is obviously a fall romance book. I actually really enjoyed it. It is a hockey romance, but it's really sweet. It's closed door. Oh, it's not something I think about often, but it was really good. I think I rated it like 4 or 4.5 stars. It was really good. I think I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna put it in a top contender. Even though it looks like it's just a fall specific romance, I think you can read it at any time of the year. Little White Lies. I did not enjoy this actually. I'm gonna put it in tolerable. It's another young adult mystery series from Jennifer Lynn Barnes. It felt very sporadic and there were a lot of characters to keep up with. Truly devious. I'm gonna put it in mid. I don't feel the need to continue this mystery series. The first one was decent. Terms and Conditions. I love this book. I'm gonna have to put it in top contender. People say it's very similar to the fine print, but I beg to differ. I think that Terms and Conditions is much better. This is a marriage of convenience trope. I'm gonna go ahead and put The Final Offer in top contenders too. This is the final book in the Dreamland Billionaire series and it concluded it so well. The Ex-Hex, I want to wipe it from my memory. I read this on Halloween. It was really weird and extremely spicy for it being a cutesy Halloween read. No. The Deal. I'm gonna put it in tolerable. I don't even think I rated it on Goodreads. I liked parts of the story, but the other part to me was just too spicy for me. Wasn't my cup of tea. The Selection. Okay, I was really shocked by this series and I actually enjoyed it. This is a dystopian romance series, kind of like The Bachelor. All these women are trying to become the princess. I guess we'll just go ahead and do the second book as well, which is The Elite, which needed to be part of the series, but nothing extremely crazy happened in Elite. But then the one, which is the last one, I'm gonna put in a top contender. There's a huge love triangle in this, and I think the author did the love triangle really well because I could not figure out who I wanted her to end up with until the very end of the last book. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, I'm gonna put it in mid. I listened to it on audiobook, thank goodness, because I felt like it was very monotonous and just boring at times. But then there were some really good parts to this story, and it kind of ripped your heart out at the end. The Dead Romantics, I'm gonna put it in mid as well. It was a Halloween romance book. It's a ghost. She can see ghosts, so there's this magical element to it. It was okay. Stars Above, I'm gonna put that and can't stop thinking about it. This is a novella in the Lunar Chronicles series that I talked about earlier. There's little short stories about individual characters, and then there's also a short story about where they are in the present day. I loved it. It was just a fun time with all the characters. Then I started the Eden series by Daphne Perry. Indigo Ridge was the first one. There was a really big mystery aspect to it, as well as the good romance story, so I'm gonna put it in top contender. I really enjoyed that. Fairest is another novella in the Lunar Chronicles series. I'm gonna put it in mid. I felt like it's not necessary, but you do understand a lot more of where the villain is coming from. The Brothers Hawthorne, I'm gonna put it in tolerable. I was extremely disappointed by this book. I loved the Inheritance Game series. This one really fell off it for me. It's like a spin-off series with the same characters, but I felt like nothing happened. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, I'm gonna put it in mid. Did I enjoy the story? Yes. I felt like there were some really good things you could get out of the story about friendship, about family, about hard work, but I also felt like it was very sporadic at times and hard to get through and very monotonous, but the writing was really pretty at times. Okay, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, I'm also gonna put it in mid. I'm still trying to get into the Harry Potter series. The 7 Year Slip, I'm definitely gonna put in top contender. It was such a well-written romance story. There's that magical element to it. The girl shows up in her apartment one day and there's this guy from 7 years in the past, and there's this this romance between them, but they also meet in real life in present day, and it's just so good. Throttled, I Want to Wipe My Memory, the book by Lauren Asher, who wrote the Dreamland Billionaire series, which I really liked, but this felt so lust-based and attraction-based. I liked the main girl character, but there was nothing redeemable about the guy character. Princess Diaries, I'd say it's tolerable. I felt like I was too old for the book, but it was just a quick little read. This was in one of my most recent videos about getting out of a book slump. It did not get me out of my book slump, actually. Juniper Hill, this is another book in the Eden series. I'm gonna have to put it in top contender. There's something about the Eden series that is so fast-paced and easy to get through. I really enjoyed it. Yes, there's parts I had to skip, but the open door spy scenes are very easy to skip. Christmas in Quincy is just a little novella that I wanted to read around the Christmas time. That's part of the Eden series, but it's not anything worth noting, really. I put it in tolerable. I mean, I'd recommend it if you want to read more of Daphne Perry's writing, but it's not something that's crucial to the Eden series by no means. Garnet Flats, another book in the Eden series, the third main book. At first I thought I would really enjoy it because the girl's a doctor, but the guy was really frustrating me. Okay, but it was good in the end. I'm gonna put it in mid. I am. And then Jasper Vale is the most recent book in the Eden series that I read. It really was not my favorite. I'm gonna put it in tolerable. The guy was just kind of a poop head to me. Here is the final tier ranking. I think this is so funny to do, to see like your least favorite books and your most favorite books. I'm excited to see what 2024 holds. I hope y'all enjoyed seeing my reviews of the 100 books I read in 2023. The Bible verse for today is Colossians 1:27. To them God chose to make known how great among the Gentiles are the riches of the glory of this mystery, which is Christ in you, the hope of glory. This is a beautiful reminder to me that it's Christ's life within us that's changing us. We can't change ourselves. He is our source of life. It's really Christ in us that brings light to the world, and it's just such a beautiful reminder. I hope you enjoyed this video. Maybe you got some book recommendations. Comment down below your favorite books of 2023, and I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day and be a blessing to others today. Bye, guys.